Here's the question. This is the question that I want to leave you guys with. We seen boyfriends and former husbands or whatever the piss they was burning down houses today. We seen modern women getting basket weaving degrees and then complaining about having $80,000 in student loan debt. We've seen Denver Mayor Mike Johnston allocate more monies over into the budget, even though they have a migrant crisis, becoming a sanctuary city while businesses is down 40% in revenue. And then last but not least, we've held Chicago to the front of the congregation again. And y'all going to be all butthurt when you calling into the show tomorrow. I'm talking about Anton. I'm feeling some type of way. Hey, man, I can't be sitting here substantiating how you feel about Brandon Johnson and the aldermen in the 50 states over there in Chicago when I got a flight to catch and I got to head to Florida. But we will get there. MS Best says Anton wanting to profit from the corruption too. Me too. That's my version of the Me Too movement. That is my version of the Me Too movement. But here's my question. Because I ran across this. And here's my question. Is it time to consider your options? Is the American dream nothing but a sham, scam, and a way to keep you paying your taxes in order to ensure that everybody else rob you blind? That is the question that I want to leave you with as we navigate through. Is it time to consider moving outside of the country? Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and if you are not a part of the Patreon, the link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. All right,
Not only learning the language, but learning a new way of living. Muchas gracias.
Es una ciudad dura también, es una ciudad a veces violenta, pero es mi ciudad y yo estoy enamorado de...
Hold on. Okay, so now you just telling me that I'm going to have to skip over his segment because I'm not about to be reading no captions. I don't even like to read captions when I'm watching Netflix. You ain't about to have me speed reading on the screen in order to ensure that I can source through whatever is... If you can't speak English, then me here is going to skip A over your part A. I'm not about to be sitting here reading captions throughout this whole segment. You got me effed up out here in these streets. Let me skip over him and get a gooses.
To chase after this dream. In the span of the last century, Mexico City's population increased tenfold. Compare that to New York City and LA. Mexico City is currently the largest city in North America, home to over 9 million people and a greater area population of about 22 million.
Y'all ain't tell me it was 9 million in the city, 22 million around it. That's bigger than New York. That's bigger than Chicago. I did not know that Mexico City had more people in there than anywhere inside of North America. Oh my God. Okay, I'm learning. Reading
With
Super
the
Chat
rise of
shortly.
remote work during the pandemic, many Americans had the opportunity to work abroad. In 2022, more Americans visited Mexico by air than those from any other country. That same year, just over 30,000 Americans applied for or renewed residency visas in the country, nearly double the number of visas from 2019. Many digital nomads come in on tourist visas, so the real number of people calling Mexico City home, even temporarily, is likely higher. It is impossible to know how many Americans are currently living in Mexico City.
Somebody educate me what it takes in order to actually be able to live over in a place permanently or semi-permanently. What type of visa or what type of passport or what is it that you have to do differently? Because I know that you just can't go over there and move over there. You have to start moving a little bit differently, and the immigration policy and the laws are much different than what it is here in the United States. Well, over here in the United States, you could just walk over here, right? You could just walk over here. But I'm curious as to what place, if you would ever consider, think about this as we go through this. What place would you consider moving to if you were to move outside of the United States of America? And then what would be the way or the pathway to living there semi-permanently, and what do you have to do in order to do so?
But between the weather, proximity to the U.S., and affordable prices, an increasing number of remote workers are congregating here. This is Kyla, one of the many Americans who calls Mexico City home. She moved here permanently in 2019.
So I fell in love with Mexico City and I've wanted to live here for years. And then I met my Mexican boyfriend.
Getting that Mexico. Mexico. Getting that Mexico. Bust down Mexico. You know what I'm saying? She said, then I met my Mexican boyfriend and I said that I'm going to stay here permanently. And we going to ride bikes through the city. Okay. She said that I'm a passport. Yo, this is a Millionaire Morning Show. I'm trying to make sure that I keep my language PG-13. She said, I'm a passport. Yo, okay.
De un cochinita y un chilorio para mí, un cochinita y un chorizo.
Learned the
para
language
él.
and everything.
Gracias. Sin hormonas, hormone free.
I grew up here and I don't know, I guess it's changing. I like personally having like a diverse city. I feel like there's more positive than negative.
Despite the digital nomad craze, there are many Americans taking a different route and settling in to create a life in the city long term.
This is a city of 20
This
million
is
people,
tall.
and somehow it feels like a small town. The real richness of living here is how communal it is, how easy it is to know your neighbors. Muchas gracias. There's always been Americans from the States living in Mexico. The problem is the lack of assimilation. So are we learning the language? Are we making local friends? Are we making an effort to be part of the local fabric?
Isn't that funny though? Isn't that crazy? How if you go down to Miami right now, or you go down to Texas right now, you can go to a restaurant, you can go to the gas station. Last time I flew over to Tampa, and I had to stop there in order to go to a birthday party and a bunch of other stuff I had to take care of, and then I took care of some business down there. I stopped at a gas station on my way back to the airport in order to fill up the rental car before I got there. And guess what? To my surprise, you know what I had to do? Type it on my phone in Tampa. Type out on my phone in order to make sure that I learned what, in order to communicate to the guy that I wanted some additional gum that was behind the counter. And then, hey, let me get a charger because my charger is stuck in my luggage and it's back inside of the room. No English. This is what he's telling me. I'm in my city, in my country. He got a whole job over there, and he behind the counter talking about, no English. Type. Meanwhile, we go over into other places, and we make sure that we assimilate. We learn their culture. We learn their language. We learn what offends them. We figure it out. And then they come over here, and then they start protesting. I guess that is our culture. That's American culture. Victim Olympics. Victim Olympics. Everybody else protesting. Why not stand outside with a sign and saying, we want justice and rights?
So if you're gonna come here, make an effort to be here. It is hard to be an immigrant, living outside of my native language, but I feel like the quality of life and my community and the friends that I have makes it worth it.
Mexico City. Here, for many centuries, people have come to meet, work, and live.
I'm about to go and visit Mexico City and see what's going on over there.
Los americanos han estado viniendo a la Ciudad de México.
We skipping over your part, buddy, because I'm not about to be reading. No, let's see what he's saying.
Desde hace muchos años.
This is Guillermo, a journalist who has lived much of his life in the most central parts of the city.
En el siglo
No, I'm not doing it. Next, who the next person for us to talk to?
Vacation in Mexico City today.
So at the moment, we're walking around Condesa neighborhood and we're going straight to Roma Norte.
This is Leticia, a local architect with a focus on urban communities.
This neighborhood and Roma Norte is where we see the concentration.
She cute. She just built like a French bulldog. Need to get her that Bandman Kevo treatment. Where's Bandman Kevo's surgeon when you need him? You know what I'm saying? This is why they don't want to give me no show on national TV. We sent out the press kit. Somebody got back to me and they was like, but Anton, you don't know how to be politically correct and say it the right way. I just say whatever it is and I'm going to say. I don't know how to be anything other than what it is that y'all might be stuck with me forever. It's a strong possibility that y'all just might be stuck with me forever because I don't know how to be a lot more culturally appropriate and then be able to identify things for what it is. And a lot of people gonna be feeling offended, and so I guess y'all just stuck with me on the social media platform. That's cool. We'll rock out with this.
Of tourists, people that are coming to live temporarily here in Mexico or permanent. They establish here and they usually don't go out that much. So this sometimes can be a little bit like Mexican Disneyland.
So Roma and Condesa, there's a lot of people who make fun. They're like, we need a visa now to go to those neighborhoods. People saying like, oh, now dogs speak English.
Los barrios Roma Condesa no eran unos barrios populares, eran unos barrios de clase media que de hecho se habían despoblado después del temblor de 1985 a ocupar apartamentos de gentrificación.
We've been talking for a long time too.
When the pandemic hit in 2020, Mexico kept its borders open to American tourists.
Yeah, they want to get that money.
This allowed remote workers from the U.S. to enter the country freely on tourist visas for up to 6 months. Americans can also apply for a temporary residency visa that allows them to work remotely in the country for up to 4 years.
Reading Super Chat shortly. Uh-oh, we got a black woman. It's the one that's right here, down here on the bottom of your screen. I want to see what the black women and the black men's experience is because y'all know y'all like running in the Victim Olympics. So y'all take y'all money, y'all move down there, and I want to hear what she got to say.
The amount of peace and ease that I have in this life, I would not trade that for a world. Not more money, not more stuff, none of those things.
Adelia first lived in Mexico City in 2017, and by 2020, she decided to move here permanently.
Since moving abroad, the thing in my life that has changed the most is how I think about work and how I think about leisure. Here in Mexico City, things are just a lot more laid back than in the US. I am no longer in a rush to do anything. Life is so much less about doing things out of concern or fear for what I might miss out on or what might happen. And it's more about going with the flow, taking things as they come, and really getting to live in the moment.
She was a public school teacher in Texas for nearly 20 years, teaching social studies, geography, and history.
The American dream is a sham.
Is that what y'all think? She says the American dream. Let me put her up on the screen real quick. She says the American dream is a sham. Now, let me tell you what I see happening over in Mexico City, because I did a little bit of research and I actually been reading about this. I've just been neglecting to talk about it until I seen somebody did a presentation on it where people can actually speak to their real experiences, not just based off of what my research is. And what I hear being communicated from people that are over in Mexico, specifically the natives to Mexico City, is they are saying that they're being displaced, and they saying that gentrification, they're not using the word gentrification, but they're saying that basically gentrification is ruining, AKA Americans coming over there with their American dollars and their higher standard and cost of living and lifestyles and nomad lifestyles, and they're able to work from home, the people that still can work from home, and they come over here and they doing their social media influencing, and they have an egregious amount of money compared to what the average salary is for the people over there in Mexico, is that it's ruining the culture and the fabric and people being able to live and survive how they did yesteryear, because everything is changing and y'all running the numbers up over there. So, here's the question. If the American dream, which is the thing that everybody tends to walk over here in America to come and get, if the American dream is a sham, then are Americans that move over into other countries ruining the dreams of whatever it is that they culturally embrace by bringing their ways, their money, and their lifestyle over there and disrupting what it is that they have going over there also? Is the American dream and the American mindset also ruining other places when we choose to go and live outside of the United States of America? We don't look at it from we don't only look at it from what we want. We don't look at it from other people's perspectives, right? Are people disgusted with American culture, but then don't like the fact that people that's not liking American culture then take their culture and then bring it over there in order for them to be able to live the lifestyle that they want, because now they're a part of the top 1%. Because the reports that I'm reading is that on the flip side, they don't like us over there disrupting what it is that they have going on, the same way that Texans don't like that Californians is selling their homes and then moving over to Texas and bringing their same ways with them and their voting policies and practices and lifestyle, and running the numbers up and making things much more expensive because they don't have a care in the world and they're not really taking into consideration how they affect other people. Interesting. So I ask you again, and Ash, I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. I ask you again, how many people here are looking to run away from what it is that you see happening here in the United States of America and go and live your life in other countries? But now that we have more insight and we're starting to ask more questions, how many people would you displace as a result of it? Let's continue.
The weight of all of the expectations that were on me as a teacher. I wanted to live a life where I wasn't in constant fear of being bankrupted by medical debt. Here in Mexico, I worry less about money, and it's not a factor of I have more of it, because I don't. It is more of the way the system is set up, that I've got more options than I did in the US if things were to go south financially.
Across Mexico, there is great wealth disparity and inequality. In Mexico City, the top 10% of earners make 13 times more than the bottom 10%. The top 10% of households with the highest income make, on average, about $65,000 on an annual basis.
So the top 10%, because this is very much sounding just like it is here in America, and that the middle class are the ones that suffer, and it's a disproportionate amount of income that's at the top comparative to what it is that the people at the bottom are experiencing. So if you make $65,000 in a year, you top dog, baby. You top dog, baby. In the same way that you're not concerned about displacing the people that you go over there, you move in America, you move into Thailand, you go into what's the place? Sasua, in order to go over there and buy some box. You moving over there to Mexico City, you going to all of these different places. But then how do you not become the exact same type of capitalist that you complain about here in the United States of America? How are you not the enemy even though you're just innocently trying to run away from the thing that you don't like here in America? Because you can live a better lifestyle. You then become a part of the top 10%, the top 5%, the top 1% in the places that you are looking to disrupt and displace the same way that you're complaining about the top 5%, top 10%, top 1% here in the United States of America. And then you go on strike and you say, I don't like what's going on over here. Let's continue.
While the average salary in Mexico City is about $20,000.
The average salary in Mexico City is $20,000, which means that you basically living like a king.
Compare that to the New York City metro area, where the average salary is close to $80,000 a year.
What up, Kane?
I try to be mindful of how I move, economically speaking, because I am cognizant of the fact of what wages are here.
Sometimes gringos, we come to Mexico and we think it's so cheap or it's so affordable, which yeah, maybe it is affordable because we have the dollar, but to Mexicans, it's not cheap.
The strength of the dollar against the peso further helps Americans achieve the quality of life they've been searching for.
La mayor parte de la migración mexicana en los Estados Unidos es una migración.
I'm not about to be reading that. But basically what's being communicated here is, shout out to my people over there in Detroit, says Rep 313 Nation, bro, 7 Mile family. What up, though, to all of my 313 Nation? What's happening, big dog? Long story short, everything that we do, except for admitting who we are, is hypocritical to somebody else that's being displaced as a result of what it is that we decide that we want to go and pursue. The American dream has now changed from the life and pursuit of happiness, liberty and justice for all here in the United States of America, to displacing other people based off of the idea that we need to pursue happiness and liberty and justice and peace by any means necessary. And so you then become the very thing that you're protesting against here in the United States of America to somebody that you're then displacing, because then you're making it even more unaffordable. And then you're doing the same thing that I'm telling you is happening to the middle class over here in the United States of America. Isn't that weird how that happens? Isn't it funny when the pot start to call the kettle black? Anton, you a capitalist. I am. I'm a capitalist to my heart. But the one thing that I'm not is going to be a hypocrite. The one thing I'm not is a hypocrite, because I'm not culturally insensitive enough to gentrify other places. I'd rather gentrify my own city. So I may be a capitalist, but I'm not pretending to be something that I'm not, a hypocrite.